The Cleveland Browns have gotten off to a horrible start to this season. Right now, they have a 1-4 record. Obviously, they had much higher expectations, especially with what they are paying their quarterback and the way he is currently playing. So let's see if we can rebuild the Cleveland Browns. And to be completely honest, I don't really know how controversial this is going to be, but Jameis Winston is going to be our starting quarterback to kick off this rebuild. Deshaun Watson is going to be the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history. I do like a few of the pieces the defense has, like obviously Myles Garrett at a 98 overall superstar X Factor. We still have Denzel Ward, who is a 90 overall superstar dev trait. Then we have Newsom over here, who is an 85, and Grant Delpit, who is an 83, both of them at a star dev trait. And I am going to say it right now. I am not going to attempt to say this guy's name the entire video. He will be known as JOK the entire time. I hate mispronouncing people's names, especially when it's something like this and I don't want to completely butcher it. Should I decide to draft a quarterback after the first season here, there are a few projected to go in the first round. We are really going to keep an eye on Dylan Watts out of Memphis though, because he is currently the #1 projected player in the draft over everybody right now, so hopefully he can live up to that hype. Because thankfully we do have our own first round pick this year. Now I will say I don't know how good this team's going to be, because obviously Madden simulation is a lot different than the NFL in real life, but let's simulate the first few games of this year and see where we start. We did not exactly start the year off on the right foot. We lost to Dallas 33-14, but we would rebound nicely following that game and rip off 4 straight wins before we ultimately fell to Philadelphia. So after 6 games, we're sitting at 4-2, which I would say is pretty solid so far. Jameis Winston is playing okay with 10 touchdowns and 6 interceptions at this point. Running the ball, Jerome Ford has 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then what about receiving? Amari Cooper, 27 catches, 377 yards and 2 scores. And Elijah Moore has a couple touchdowns along with Jerry Jeudy. But now we can get a little bit of help to this team. I can bring back running back Nick Chubb. I can also bring back right guard Wyatt Teller. So we're going to go ahead and remove both of those guys from IR. Obviously, adding those 2 guys back to this offense makes it look a lot better. Jerome Ford was filling in nicely, but having a guy like Nick Chubb is always going to improve your team, and a guy like Wyatt Teller. But then over on defense, I was also able to activate safety Juan Thornhill off IR, so we get him back as well. Well, this rebuild may take a few years because we cannot re-sign anybody right now because of the Deshaun Watson contract. Right now, for 2025 cap space, we are about $1 million over the cap, so I can't even offer a contract to a guy like Nick Chubb. So awesome. You have got to be absolutely shitting me. 2 weeks later, Nick Chubb has a groin tear and is going to miss the rest of the season. So we get him for a total of 2 weeks this year, and he's going to go right back on IR. And Jerome Ford is also injured for the next 2 weeks, so we're down to our 3rd string running back. It sucks that JOK is injured as well, but he should come back this year along with Jerome Ford. But losing Nick Chubb really sucks. And with that injury, we're going to go ahead and sign Jerick McKinnon to come in and fill in at running back. Well, everyone remember that solid 4-2 start? Yeah, that did not keep up. After we lost to Philadelphia, we would come back and lose to Cincinnati. We would then beat Baltimore, but this is the game where we lost Nick Chubb. We would then come out and lose to the Chargers. We get our bye week, came out and got shut out by the Saints 28-0, and then came back to beat Pittsburgh 30-24. And it definitely looks like I'm going to need a quarterback following this season. On the ground, Jerome Ford has 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. Jameis Winston has 2 scores. It looks like Nick Chubb played okay in the 2 games he got to play in. And Jerick McKinnon has come in for 19 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown. So obviously he's not getting too much playing time right now. And receiving, Amari Cooper, 685 yards and 3 scores. David Njoku also has 3 touchdowns. But Jerry Jeudy has 4, which is going to lead the team. Let's see where we are at right now in the playoff picture. First, I want to take a look at stats, and nothing on this team looks good. The defensive points per game is at least solid at 16th, but the offense is not good at all. And right now, we are sitting at the 7th seed, so we would be in the playoffs as of right now, which is a little bit wild. Well, getting to the playoffs in Season 1 of this rebuild was a nice dream to have. We would beat Denver 31-7. But then we would go on a 5-game losing streak to close out the season. So we finished 7-10, and not a shock, we are not in the playoffs. It does look like Deshaun Watson got to come in and throw a few passes this year, but Jameis Winston finished with 22 touchdowns and 23 interceptions in true Jameis Winston fashion. Running the ball, we did not do a lot of good this year on that. Jerome Ford got 7 touchdowns. And then receiving, Amari Cooper did go over 1,000 yards and 5 scores. Elijah Moore got 5 touchdowns as well. David Njoku got 3. Jerry Jeudy got 5. What about defense? How did that go for everybody here? And it's going to be Jordan Hicks leading our team in tackles with 110. And then in sacks, Za'Darius Smith got 9. Myles Garrett got 8. Jordan Hicks got 3. And interceptions, Denzel Ward did come away with 5. And you can see on this screen that offensive points per game, we average 18.7, number 28 in the league. Obviously, that is not going to cut it, and I understand I did not give this coordinator that good of a quarterback to work with, but we are going to fire offensive coordinator Will Hudson. And we're going to be replacing him with offensive coordinator Jeremy Green, who does have the quarterback guru tab, which is the one I always really look for. If you have played Madden 25 at all this year, this Super Bowl is not going to shock you. The first Super Bowl in this rebuild is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Buffalo Bills 25-20. Before we try to re-sign anybody, we have got to handle some of this cap space right now. So the first thing we're going to do is go into quarterback Deshaun Watson and click release. I understand it's going to cost us a ton in dead cap, but we ultimately saved $19 million this year. So Deshaun Watson, you can hit the open market. I am also going to restructure the contract of Myles Garrett. It'll free up another about $7 million this year. We have plenty of cap space in 2026 to do this with, so that is why he's getting pushed a little bit farther back. And I don't want to start just pushing everyone's contract back because that'll get really expensive in the future, but we are going to be most likely getting a rookie quarterback here. So let's go ahead and push Denzel Ward's contract back just a bit too. Now that does give you the money to bring back Nick Chubb, but he is going from a 96 overall down to a 90 overall. That is absolutely brutal for us. How about a 1-year deal just in case you start to lose a little bit more? If not, I feel like running backs aren't really hard to replace in this game. And yeah, he's going to sign on a 1-year deal. Unfortunately, though, it does not look like a lot of other people want to come back. So we're going to lose Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper along with Jedrick Wills. Yeah, this team is going to look a lot different. Yeah, before I go into free agency, this team is not looking too good right now. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a 63 overall as our quarterback. Obviously, that is not going to stick, or at least I really hope that's not going to stick. We only have 1 tight end on the roster, so we'll need some backups there. May look for that in like the later rounds of the draft. I'm not super worried about that, but we are definitely going to need some new receivers. There is obviously some help we're going to need over on defense. Za'Darius Smith is now a superstar X Factor though, but he is starting to regress because I think he's going into like his 10th or 11th year. We're going to need a new outside linebacker. Corner seems to be fine, and we'll probably need a new free safety because Juan Thornhill is down to a normal depth chart. And we are not going to be addressing all of those positions in free agency. We signed McCole Hardman and Tutu Atwell, so we have 2 brand new receivers. Granted, neither of them super great overall wise, but we'll see exactly how well that all pans out. Outside linebacker Jacob Phillips, and then quarterback Andy Dalton. Now, there are a couple reasons I signed Dalton. One, because he's a higher overall than Thompson-Robinson, so he should give us better results if he has to play. But also, he has the mentor player tag, so should I draft a rookie quarterback, he will be able to give him a little bit more experience every single week. Looking at the final mock draft before we actually jump into the real NFL draft here, and it looks like Dylan Watts should fall to us. The problem is it says his talent is around 3 to 4, which is obviously not what I wanted to see. He does have B deep accuracy, A medium, A short, A under pressure, great throw power, and then B awareness. That is probably the thing holding him back. And what does it say on the scouting report? Could use some improvement at recognizing pressure, so he's not going to be good at that. Does well to avoid sacks by throwing the ball away, so he has that. Plays well within and outside of the pocket. I honestly don't see a reason not to take him with our draft pick, but we'll see exactly how the board falls. The Panthers ended up with the #1 overall pick, but let's just jump right to our pick and see if that quarterback goes off the board. I'm definitely not going to trade up for him, and it does not look like he has gone, so he should be there. I assume Madden still has the thing where the final mock draft is the exact way the board is going to fall, so it does not really shock me. I just assume they did not change that. But it does look like Dylan Watts is easily the best quarterback available in this draft, should we decide to go that route. Now, if I decide to not go the route of quarterback, I could trade away this pick, and there are a few nice picks on the board here available, including all the way back here, the Indianapolis Colts willing to give us a first-round pick in the next 2 drafts. The only downside is we would completely trade out of the first round here. So it is pretty much a game of if I want to take a risk on next year's quarterback class being better, and just kind of tank this year and build draft capital for the future, or if I just want to take the quarterback now. And I am super tempted to just take this quarterback right now, because if I don't, it kind of delays our rebuild another year, and we would most likely be starting Andy Dalton at quarterback all season, and I don't really feel like that's the best way to win games, but like I said, we would pretty much be tanking. After sitting here for a while trying to debate whether or not I want to take the quarterback or get the draft capital for the future, I think I've decided we're going to take the trade with the Colts, completely trade out of this first round this year, because this team needs a lot more help. We're going to go for the future, because I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be a franchise guy. Now, if he is, I apologize that I missed out on one, but I would rather just get the draft capital for the future. However, I will not be trading our second round pick. We're going to take outside linebacker Robert Merriweather out of Texas A&M, and he is going to come in. That's an A. Okay, I thought it was going to be an A, but it says a B-, and he is a hidden dev trade. And I really don't know how well this pick is going to go, but in the third round, I'm looking at wide receiver Marcus Kramer out of Washington. 22 years old, has A catching, D deep route and release, and C catching traffic, but does have good speed, B to C awareness. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and take him and see if that's going to pan out for us. It is a B. He was ranked number 7 in true value, but I can almost guarantee you with that high of a rating, he is going to be, never mind. I thought it was going to be a normal dev trade. I will take a hidden dev trade here. Alright, the two picks I actually made were not that bad. A 73 overall outside linebacker and a 76 overall receiver. We also got a 64 overall quarterback. Past the third round, I just let the computer take over. Apparently, they thought we needed that guy, so Taylor Garner might be our backup quarterback. We got a 65 overall middle linebacker, a 65 overall outside linebacker, a 64 overall tight end, a 70 overall receiver, and Carlos Parker. That could be interesting. And a 66 overall corner. Now let's go see who the best player in the draft was, and please, dear God, don't let it be the quarterback that I passed on. It was Jamal Davis, a middle linebacker that I could have taken. Let's see where our quarterback actually went. I believe he ended up going at 12 or 13, actually. A 71 overall. Is he a hidden dev trait? No, he is not, so I am glad I did not take this kid. We are going to sign a few veterans before I really get into the regular season, and the first one's going to be left tackle DJ Humphries. And I'm not even going to try to say this guy's name, but he is going to be our backup left tackle. We are also going to bring in free safety Eddie Jackson just to back up Juan Thornhill, because I did not find a suitable replacement in the draft or free agency. And I remember that Jordan Hicks actually led our team in tackles last season, but he did regress from an 80 down to a 76 overall, so how about we bring in Bobby Wagner on a one-year rental? I was looking around the league for a younger quarterback that we could trade for that we might be able to build this season, and I found Kenny Pickett. So instead of starting Andy Dalton, we could theoretically trade for Pickett. He would come back to the AFC North. Let's see exactly what Philadelphia wants for him. You're not getting Jacob Phillips, a third-round pick this next year, or a third-round pick in like 2 years, and a fourth-round pick next year. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and take this one. So we are going to land Kenny Pickett, who is still a star dev trait and a scheme fit. Following that trade, I feel like this offense looks a bit better than I really thought they were going to. Kenny Pickett right now, with all of our coach upgrades and everything, is a 77 overall with a star dev trait. We might be able to actually turn him into something, and even worst case scenario, we should at least be able to flip him for some draft capital, unless his contract is up, which I think it might be. But either way, Kenny Pickett, 77 overall, star dev trait. Kramer is going to be our number 1 receiver, Judy will be our number 2, and Parker is going to be our number 3. This was the one that the computer drafted for us, and he comes in with a hidden dev trait, but he is 6'5", and I did not notice that until I was doing some of the training camp drills. And over on defense, you can see a couple new additions that we have here. Like I told you guys, we signed Bobby Wagner, and then our second round pick, Merriweather, at left outside linebacker. And in our first game of the season, we absolutely lit up the Rams, 44-21. Remember, the Rams are the one that took the quarterback that we considered taking. Kenny Pickett had 412 yards and 4 touchdowns. Stafford is apparently still the starting quarterback there, so Deshaun Watson is sitting on the bench. But what a Cleveland Browns debut for Kenny Pickett. We're going to jump ahead to our bye week, which is at week 7. So right now, through the first 6 games of the year, we are 5-1. Now, obviously, that game against Cincinnati on week 2 didn't exactly go as well as week 1 against the Rams, but I still feel like we're a pretty good team right now. And honestly, it's looking like a really good decision to trade for Kenny Pickett. Right now, he has 14 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions on the year. Nick Chubb has 300 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. And then receiving, Jerry Jeudy has caught 5 scores. Tutu Atwell has 4, David Njoku has 2, McCole Hardman has 1, Kramer only has 10 catches for 100 yards, and then Carlos Parker also has a touchdown. And I don't know why, but it did change around the depth chart just a little bit. We now know that Kramer is a star depth trait, but I wanted Parker to be our wide receiver 3. I really wanted these guys to get a lot more involved. While that 5-1 start was really nice to the season, out of our bye week, we would come back to lose 3 in a row before finally winning back-to-back games against Green Bay and Cincinnati, which means we are currently sitting at 7-4. We will see where that lands us in the playoff picture here in just a minute. But Kenny Pickett so far, 21 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Running the ball, Nick Chubb has 600 yards and 10 touchdowns. And then receiving, Judy has 7 scores, Njoku has 2, Tutu Atwell has 4, Kramer now has 4 touchdowns on the season, and Parker has 2. Well, we're still in a really good spot to make the playoffs. Right now, we're the 5 seed. We're not winning the division currently because Baltimore is at the 3 seed with an 8-3 record. But it looks like the entire AFC is just a really close race. We're only 1 game back from Baltimore, but both the 1, 2, and 3 seed are all 8-3. And why am I not shocked that this injury that we had here is Nick Chubb? He's going to miss the next 3 weeks of the season. Granted, not the entire year, but still not great. A few games later into the season now, we would beat Baltimore, get completely destroyed by Minnesota, but then we came back to beat Las Vegas and Pittsburgh. So now we get to take on the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason I am showing you this is because as of right now, we're both sitting at 10-5. So this could decide who's going to win the division. Right now, we're in the lead because we do have the 1 win over them. So let's jump to next week and see if we cannot beat the Ravens to take just sole control of the division. And we do not. We lose 35-17. So why not just go ahead and simulate this final game against Chicago and see if we can manage to sneak into the playoffs as a wild card team, because I think that's the only way we're going to be getting in. It is not great that we lost the final 2 games of the season, but we still managed to get into the playoffs at 10-7. We get to take on the 12-5 Indianapolis Colts, who have the #1 offense in points per game. Awesome. That is a great matchup for us. We get in as the 7 seed, so we obviously fell down a bit, but doesn't matter. We're still in the playoffs. Kenny Pickett had a hot start of the year, but definitely cooled down. 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, but 10 interceptions. Running the ball, Nick Chubb definitely missed some time this year. Only 700 yards, 11 touchdowns. Jerome Ford got 303 touchdowns of his own, and Kenny Pickett even ran for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Receiving, Jerry Jeudy got 800 yards and 8 scores. That's easily our best receiver. David Njoku led the team in receptions, though, with 74. Got 700 yards and 3 scores. Marcus Kramer ended up with 668 yards and 6 touchdowns. Not bad for a rookie. Tutu Atwell caught 5 touchdowns, and Carlos Parker came away with 4. Over on defense, it looks like Bobby Wagner led the team in tackles, not much of a shock. And Myles Garrett came away with 10 sacks. Za'Darius Smith definitely took a step back, only 2.5 this year. And interceptions, Grant Delpit came away with 5, along with Denzel Ward. Obviously, because we get in as a 7 seed, we're going to have the toughest road possible as we take on the 2 seed Colts. And then even if we win that game, we get to take on the 1 seeded Chiefs. But let's jump into this game and see what happens. And unfortunately, our very first playoff game in this rebuild was not even close, as we get bounced out in the wildcard round by a final score of 34-17. And the Indianapolis Colts would end up making a run all the way to the Super Bowl before they ran into Philadelphia, who wins their 2nd Super Bowl in franchise history by a final score of 28-21. And we have a few players retiring this offseason. We are going to lose Bobby Wagner, Andy Dalton, and Shelby Harris. Obviously not massive parts of our team. I mean, Wagner just had a great year leading the team in tackles, but I don't think it's going to be too hard to replace him. Moving on to re-signing this year, we have a ton of cap space, $132 million. We're going to start by trying to give David Njoku a new contract. But you're already 30 years old. I do not want to give you a 4-year deal. So how about we up the money just a bit and give you a 2-year deal? And he's going to be testing out free agency. And honestly, we're just going to let Nick Chubb walk into free agency. I don't really see a reason to bring him back. He's regressing rapidly down to an 86 overall. And he's been hurt several times in both of these seasons. So we're going to see if we can't find a new running back. I would really love to not lose Greg Newsome. So let's up this to a player-friendly deal, a 4-year offer, and he will be returning. Let's see if we can't bring back Wyatt Teller on a 1-year deal. He has a little bit of interest in coming back here, but he will be testing for agency as well. And we managed to turn Kenny Pickett into a 78 overall star dev trait player, but I am not giving him a contract like that. So yeah, we gave him a couple draft picks, got him on a 1-year rental, We'll see where he goes. I just don't even want to worry about punter the next few years of this rebuild, so let's just up this money just a bit. A 3-year deal, and he's going to re-sign. And obviously, we have a ton of money still, 116 million, but not a lot of these guys want to come back. Juan Thornhill down to a 74 overall. We're going to move on from him. Joel Bitonio's 34 years old and doesn't want to come back here. I'm going to guess he wants to go ring chase somewhere, which is fine. Jerome Ford doesn't have a lot of interest in coming back, so we're not going to offer him a contract just yet. Zadarius Smith is starting to regress, so we're going to move on. I already told you guys about Kenny Pickett. Yeah, this team is going to look a lot different going into Season 3 as well. Now, obviously, we did not tank like I said we were going to, because we ended up trading for Kenny Pickett, making a playoff run. And then the team that we own the first-round pick of ended up losing in the Super Bowl, so we're going to have pick number 31 from them. But I still feel like we could maybe trade up and take one of these quarterbacks, and I am really liking Del Massey, but we'll wait and see exactly how well all of this plays out after free agency. Well, one of the reasons that I feel like we had a lot of cap space is because I had to completely rebuild the offensive line. The only thing we really had was a right tackle, so we signed several offensive linemen. We got center Garrett Bradbury, right guard Trey Pipkins, I signed middle linebacker Kenneth Murray, safety Jimmy Ward, and then another offensive lineman in David Edwards, a tight end in Cade Otton. I tried to bring back David Njoku. He did not want to come back. I also signed Alvin Kamara to be a backup running back. I signed DJ Reader to be our starting defensive tackle. I signed Rachaad White to be our starting running back. And then I brought in DeMarcus Lawrence on a very expensive 1-year deal to where hopefully he can help out this defense. I don't really show a lot of the free agency recap in these rebuilds, but because we lost several players, I want to show it this season. Starting with Mark Andrews heads to Indianapolis, and David Njoku is headed to Tennessee, so I guess these two just wanted to stay in, like, the same division, I guess, because they were both in the AFC North, now they're both in the AFC South. But then down here, Wyatt Teller, I tried to bring him back, he ends up going to Chicago, and then Nick Chubb is headed down to New Orleans. I didn't even try to bring him back, he was incredibly expensive, and I feel like Rachaad White's going to fill in nicely. Looking at the final mock draft, and it looks like quarterback Del Massey is expected to go number 1 overall. So unless I want to trade all the way up to that, we are not going to land him. So let's see if quarterback Pat Stewart is going to be here at all, otherwise known as Professor Xavier, but I don't really see him so far, and we pick at 21. So he is not here yet, and he's not projected to go in the first round at all right now. And I have heavily scouted both of these quarterbacks, so I should be able to determine which one's going to be better. And looking at the ratings, it looks like Del Massey has lower deep accuracy, but Pat Stewart has much lower medium accuracy, throw on the run, throw under pressure, break sack is an A, play action. I really don't know where I should be going with this pick right now. I kind of want to trade up for the number 1 pick, and that D injury kind of solidifies it. Let's go see exactly what the Raiders want for that first overall pick. I have thrown it into the trade finder, so let's go ahead and get offers, and there are no trades for this package. We'll see about that one. Alright, there may actually not be a trade package that they are willing to take, because I am throwing 4 first-round picks at them, a 3rd-round pick this year, and a 2nd-round pick next year, and it is getting close, but not quite there. I mean, I could change around this just a little bit. Let's get rid of this 3rd-round pick. Let's throw in our 2nd this year, so 4 1s and a 2. Granted, this is to go from 21 all the way to 1, so I feel like you would have to give up quite a bit here, and they are still not willing to take that. What if we also threw in one of our 2 3rd-round picks for this draft? Will you take that? And no, they won't. Well, maybe they will, because that one was a little bit lower. Maybe if I offer pick 85, this is a lot to move up. This is an absolute just haul of draft picks, and it is finally done, so we will be taking quarterback Del Massey. Now, if I draft this kid and he is a normal dev trait, I am ending the video right here. So Del Massey, welcome to Cleveland. He's number 40 in true value. We drafted him at number 1, and he is a hidden dev trait, thank God. And then in the 3rd round of this draft, we're going to take tight end Max Harper out of South Carolina, and he is going to come in number 119 in true value, so that's a C- pick and a normal dev trait. I am absolutely awful when it comes to drafting tight ends, so it does not really shock me. Alright, just try and ignore the rest of the draft class. Quarterback Del Massey is a 75 overall with a hidden dev trait. He should be pretty damn good for us. But from here, let's go check out the rest of the draft, see who the best available player was. I already see several players that were much higher of an overall, starting with an 81 overall corner that went at the 6th pick to Tampa, an 80 overall corner that went at the 5th pick to Tennessee, and then a 79 overall corner that went to the Rams. So apparently this was just a very corner heavy draft. And before we jump into the next season, I want to show you guys that I did make a trade with the Carolina Panthers. We have sent them Mecole Hardman in exchange for a 3rd round pick, just because I kind of traded away a lot of draft picks. We need to get some of those back. Well, I'm not going to lie to you guys, we may absolutely suck this season because the offensive line takes a massive step back because we lost a lot of guys that were older on the offensive line that I decided to not bring back, and obviously the guys I got to replace them are not nearly as good, so hopefully Massey doesn't get completely murdered. Over on defense though, you will notice at least one veteran signing that I made. Actually, I made a couple of them. Quandre Diggs and Kobe Bryant have both joined our team to line up at free safety. We got Kenneth Murray in the offseason. I really don't know what to expect out of the team for this season. I will, however, take a 34-21 victory in our rookie quarterback's very first game, where he throws for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against the defending AFC champion, where Anthony Richardson threw 3 interceptions, so our defense did a hell of a job today. Alright, a quick change of tone because, yeah, like I said, we may suck this year. We are currently 3-5 at about the midway point through this season. But our rookie quarterback, Dell Massey, is not playing that bad. A 64% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. How well are we running the ball? We're doing okay, I guess. And then receiving, Jerry Jeudy has 2 touchdowns, Kramer has 4, Otten has 1, Parker has 1, White has 1, and Harper has 1. I would like to take care of a couple contracts here, starting with Myles Garrett. We're just going to give him a player-friendly deal. Please don't leave us here, and he will be re-signing. DeJuan Jones, you are about our only consistent offensive lineman, so we're going to up this money just a bit, and he will also re-sign. And then I honestly don't know if we'll be able to get Grant Delpit to come back. We're going to up that to a player-friendly deal, but just a 3-year offer. Will he take that? And no, alright, he is not going to re-sign just yet. Alright, in the next week I have upped the offer just a bit here, and he will re-sign now. Let's just jump to the end of this season because I had a feeling it was not going to end well. We finished this year 5-12, the worst year of the rebuild so far. But really, this is kind of the first year of the rebuild since I just kind of rehauled the entire offensive line. And by rehauled, I mean got rid of everybody that was old and drafted a brand new quarterback. So really, I have a few more seasons, I feel like, until this rebuild is a failure. But how did the rest of our schedule play out? Was there any game that we just got absolutely, completely dominated in? And it does not look like it. We lost a lot of close games here. And Dell Massey ends up with 4,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. Running the ball, Rachaad White got 699 yards and 11 touchdowns. Receiving, Jerry Jeudy 978 yards and 5 scores. Kramer caught 7, and Parker ended up catching 8 from the slot, but no one got over 1,000 yards. What about defense? Leading the team in tackles is going to be Merriweather, our second-year linebacker. You do like to see that. DeMarcus Lawrence led the team in tackles, in sacks with 10, and interceptions, Denzel Ward came away with 3. And in this season, the Buffalo Bills get their very first Super Bowl win, 20-13 over Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. But the main thing I want to point out on the screen is if you look over to the side, you can see quarterback Dell Massey ended up winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. We end up having a couple retirements. I signed Derek Carr before the season. I didn't really feel like that was noteworthy. He was just our mentor backup quarterback, but now he is retired, and Jimmy Ward has retired as well. There's only a couple moves here I'm going to make in the re-signing period. One is bringing back Garrett Bradbury if he will take this 1-year deal, and he is going to re-sign that one. We're going to let everyone else walk except for, let's see if I can find him again if I don't scroll right past him, Jack Conklin. We're going to bring him back as well. Actually, that's a $9 million contract, nearly $10 million. That's a 9.9. He's at 77 overall. We'll go ahead and bring him back. We have plenty of cap space, so yeah, we're going to get that deal done as well, but everyone else is going into free agency. And the main point of this rebuild now is to build around quarterback Dell Massey, who is going to come into next season as an 86 overall superstar dev trait. I think it was definitely worth all of the draft picks I ended up giving up, despite the fact that was a ton of draft picks that I actually gave up. Let's see what the defense is looking like, and yeah, we're definitely going to need some help here. We have one defensive tackle, but thankfully, I do have $105 million in cap space going into free agency, so we just have to hope there's actually some help here. Alright, so I definitely got some help in free agency. There was not a lot of huge names that were interested in coming here, but I did manage to land a few decent players. We signed Matthew Stafford to be our new mentor backup quarterback. I signed left tackle Josh Jones as a 73 overall. I brought in Kendre Miller to be a backup running back. I signed left guard Jonah Jackson, free safety Tony Adams, center Tyler Viadish at an 80 overall, Mac Wilson Sr. as an 80 overall middle linebacker, an 80 overall corner in Jalen Watson, and an 80 overall, I was reading his number, an 80 overall in DeForest Buckner. As we move on to the NFL draft, we are now in the second round here with pick number 4, because remember, we have no first round pick. We're going to take right guard Kerry Langford out of Boise State, and it is going to be a B, apparently, in the value, but he is going to be a hidden dev trait, which is the main thing I was looking for. Now in the third round with our first pick of this round at pick number 4, we're going to take middle linebacker Darnell Forney out of Texas, and let's see what this is going to be rated. Number 42 in true value, drafted him at 68, so solid here, and another hidden dev trait for us. I am going to go ahead and grab another lineman, left guard Chase Redman here at the end of the third round out of Michigan, and he is going to come in, let's see what they rate this, a C-, so probably not great, and a normal dev trait. Alright, I feel like my first two picks were at least solid. We got a 75 overall right guard and a 73 overall middle linebacker. We then took a 78 overall left guard, a 61 overall defensive tackle, definitely was not my pick, a 66 overall safety, and a 66 overall left tackle. So let's see who the best player in the draft was now, and it doesn't look like there was any 80 overalls in the top picks, but there was an 82 overall tight end in James Hankins that went to Detroit, and there was also an 81 overall safety that went to Washington. This is going to be your starting offense for season 4 of this rebuild. Now last year we obviously went 5-12. We are clearly looking to be a little bit better this year, and I think we are going to do that with our improved offensive line. Jack Conklin is currently injured. Obviously I still really need to address the offensive line in the next offseason, but this is what I could do this year. Over on defense, this will be our first year without having 2 at least star dev trait edge rushers, because Cox is only going to be a 74 overall normal dev trait. I did add one more person to the defense, that is Tyrann Mathieu at free safety, and I forgot to mention on offense I did sign one other person. I signed wide receiver Johnny Wilson and moved him over to tight end. He's 6'7", 74 overall tight end, so he's going to be our backup to Cade Otton. And wow, this season is not going how I thought it would. We started 3-1, which is a really good start, but now we've dropped 4 in a row, so we're currently sitting at 3-5 about halfway through the year. Our quarterback Dell Massey is actually having a pretty solid year, 14 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Running the ball, Rachaad White has 4 touchdowns, and then receiving, looks like Carlos Parker is now leading our team with 5 touchdowns, and Cade Otton has come away with 4. Let's try and figure out exactly what's going on with this team, and it appears to be the offensive points per game, only 21.3, so we're at 24th in the league for that. The defensive points per game is actually going pretty well at 9th with 22.8 a game. We once again have a ton of cap space, so let's just try to get some of these contracts done. Starting with Denzel Ward, we'll give him a 2-year deal and he will be re-signing. JOK has very little interest in coming back here. He seems to apparently want no income tax. We're going to offer him a lot of money, another player-friendly deal, and he is not going to re-sign right now. I will go ahead and give this contract offer to Jerry Jeudy on a 3-year deal, and he is not going to re-sign right now either. Sure, Jalen Watson, you want a 1-year offer to come back, we'll go ahead and do that, and yeah, he will be returning. I have now advanced to the next week, and we're going to up our money just a bit to JOK here, because he's still a massive part of this team, and he is going to be re-signing on that deal, so that's good. We got him done and out of the way. But what about Jerry Jeudy? What if we just up your money just a bit on a 3-year deal, and he will be returning as well? Well, guys, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be going back to the playoffs in this season, because at this point in the year, we are now 5-7, so we would really need to win out the rest of the season to have a shot. Or, you know, maybe I'm completely wrong. At the end of the season, we are 9-8, but we managed to get in as the 7 seed here, so we will get to take on the 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs. The last time I checked in here, we were at our bye week, and from there, we only lost 1 game on the rest of the year. But if y'all want to know something really stupid about this year, every single loss we had was within 1 score. This one, 24-30, 7-14, 24-30, 17-24, 21-24, 31-37, 10-12, and 23-31. So all of those are within 1 score. And quarterback Dell Massey had a really good year. 4,100 yards, 30 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Running the ball, Rachaad White got 12 touchdowns and over 800 yards. And then receiving, Marcus Kramer came away with 6 touchdowns, Carlos Parker came away with 10, and Jerry Jeudy came away with 4. Cade Otton also comes away with 4. Rachaad White got 1, and Jamari Thrash got 4 on the year. Over on defense, leading our team in tackles is going to be JOK with 110, and sacks, Myles Garrett got 14. DeForest Buckner did come away with 8.5, and interceptions, Denzel Ward got 3, and Grant Delpit got 3. So for the second time in this rebuild, we get into the playoffs as the 7th seed. So let's see if we can't somehow upset the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately though, once again, we are getting bounced in the wild card round, this time by a final score of 49-31. So it looks like we actually put up a bit of a fight today, but Kansas City is just a ridiculous team to deal with in this year's Madden. And just to show you guys what we ended up dealing with, Patrick Mahomes goes for 370 yards and 6 touchdowns. Del Massey in his playoff debut goes for 390, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So I still feel like we're a pretty good team and we just need to build on this season. And you know, if you're gonna lose in the playoffs, at least let it be to the eventual Super Bowl champions, which is exactly what happened as we get a rematch from a few years ago here, and Kansas City defeats Philadelphia 42-34. And we do have a couple retirements going into this offseason. Tyrann Mathieu has retired, and quarterback Matthew Stafford. And I probably should have done this before I got into the actual offseason part, but we are going to fire our defensive coordinator, Josh Morton. And one of the available coaches we have is Matt Eberflus, so we're going to go ahead and bring him in as our defensive coordinator. Personally, I don't really know how much coordinators actually matter in the simulation. It's just something I like to do every few years, especially if we're just not performing like I think we should. I didn't re-sign anyone major here in the re-signing period. We still have $100 million in cap space to use. I did attempt to bring back Johnny Wilson, but he didn't want to come back. We are also going to let Cade Otton walk here. I know he's an 80 overall and has been solid for us so far, but I really want to see if there's a better option available in free agency. Well, I was really not expecting Rachaad White to decline as far as he did. He's down to a 79 overall. Granted, he has like a temporary, I guess, morale lowering thing. But yeah, we made it a new starting running back. But the main thing there, if you did not see it, right now with all of the boost, Massey is a 98 overall quarterback going into only his 3rd year in the league. Alright, I have once again signed several free agents here. We brought back tight end Johnny Wilson, left guard Kendrick Green, quarterback Baker Mayfield, who now has a mentor player tag, so he returns to Cleveland. I signed wide receiver Calvin Austin just to be a little more depth at receiver, running back Marshawn Lloyd, who is an 80 overall. Then we got defensive end DeMarcus Lawrence to come back. He was obviously here a couple years ago and then was not here last year. The defense wasn't near as good. And yeah, so we're bringing him back for right now. Defensive tackle Dwayne Carter, tight end Cade Otton, defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo, and left tackle Laramie Tunsil. That is our big splash at free agents, and he's an 85 overall. We're going to see if I end up regretting this, but I am going to trade our 19th overall pick to the Houston Texans, fall back about 9 spots, and pick up a 2nd rounder for this year. So we're going to go and take that trade. And I honestly could not have planned that better. I wanted to trade back to see if Chris Driver would still fall to us at 28, and he will. He's going to come in with A awareness, B block shed, A play rec, A power move, A pursuit, A hit power. He has good speed, solid acceleration. He is listed as an outside linebacker, but that is not where we are playing him. He is going to line up as our left end. And Chris Driver, welcome to the Browns, number 12 in true value, and a hidden dev trade. Now in the next round here at pick number 19, we're going to take left guard Alexander Warner out of Alabama. And does he come in with a hidden dev trade? We'll see where this lands. Number 30 in true value, drafted him at 51 with a hidden dev trade. And just a few picks later here at the end of the 2nd round, we're going to take defensive tackle Chris Harrison out of Washington State. And can our streak of decent players continue? Well, he's an 86 in true value and a hidden dev trait. So not great value, but is a hidden dev trait. So I think it continues the streak. And in the middle of the draft, we are trading running back Rachaad White over to the Patriots in exchange for a 3rd and a 5th round pick in this draft. Originally, we did not have a 3rd round pick this year, so that gives us pick number 8 in the 3rd round. And the reason I made that trade is because I knew I wanted to draft one of the tight ends, and we're going to take tight end Dorian Langford out of Oklahoma. And I'm going to really hope I drafted a decent tight end this time, but at least he's 46 in true value, and he is a hidden dev trade. Honestly, this might be the best class we have had so far in this rebuild. A 76 overall outside linebacker, a 74 overall guard, a 71 overall defensive tackle, and a 73 overall tight end, all with hidden dev traits. Then a 68 overall corner, a 68 overall safety, a 70 overall wide receiver in the 5th round, a 66 overall tight end, and a 65 overall corner. Now, like I like to look at every single season, who was the best player in the draft? It was an 81 overall Titus McMillan, and honestly, I looked at drafting him with our draft pick. He was the other guy I was going to see if he actually fell to us when we traded back, and I didn't even see Kelvin McCord on the board. We kind of needed a running back, but he went at pick number 13, an 80 overall. Now, like I said in the draft, I do not want to line Chris Driver up at outside linebacker. We're going to go into edit player here. Going to take a while to load, but we're going to go over to left end, and I do this so you guys can see that I don't change anything else. I just go in, I do left end, and I click save changes here, and he is going to go to a 77 overall. I am also really curious about Telvin Cummings. He's one of the guys I just drafted, or the computer just drafted. He is a corner, but he seems to have decent zone rating, so I want to see if I move him over to free safety. We'll probably keep him there anyway, but he goes from a 68 overall corner all the way to a 68 overall safety. All right, so it does not really change anything. And I know we just re-signed DeMarcus Lawrence from free agency, but because of our first round pick that's going to be a solid defensive end for us, we are trading Lawrence and a 4th round pick to the Jets in exchange for a 2nd round pick. Going into season 5 of this franchise rebuild, here is your starting offense. Now, Massey is up to a 96 overall with his temporary boost. At a base, he is a 92 superstar dev trait. And then we have Kramer as our wide receiver 1, Parker as our wide receiver 2, and then we have Jerry Jeudy now in the slot. We also have Calvin Austin down here just in case someone goes down. We added a brand new left guard for us. We added a brand new left tackle in Laramie Tunsil in free agency, and we drafted Langford to be our starting tight end. So I think our offense is going to look a bit different this year, but hopefully it's a bit better. Over on defense, we will have a couple rookies starting along the defensive line. Wingo is actually injured right now. He's going to miss the first 2 weeks of the season. Harrison is usually where Carter is, so for right now, Harrison's going to be our number 1 defensive tackle. And one weird thing that I had not noticed until right before this is Greg Newsome has now passed Denzel Ward. Ward is now our corner number 2, and Newsome is our number 1 corner. And then up here at middle linebacker, Forney will now be the starter over Mac Wilson because Wilson started to regress just a little bit. Almost forgot that word. And then obviously we still have Tony Adams at free safety. That's probably the only thing I really need to improve. Well, at the midway point of this season, we are sitting at 5-3 right now. We started 5-1 before dropping back-to-back games, and once again, we are only losing games by 1 possession. And Del Massey so far has 2,200 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions on the ground. Marshawn Lloyd has ran for 4 touchdowns. Massey has actually ran for 5. And then receiving, Jerry Jeudy has 5 touchdowns. Carlos Parker has 6, Kramer actually has 0 so far, and our rookie tight end Dorian Langford has 2. And this season, we get to negotiate a contract with both of our number 1 and number 2 receivers because they came from the same class, along with Robert Merriweather and Jalen Watson, Kendre Miller, but these 3 are going to be the really expensive ones. Let's just try to start getting it over with. Marcus Kramer on a 5-year deal. He will be re-signing, so we got him out of the way. What about Carlos Parker? We're going to have to up your offer as well, and he is going to be returning as well. And what about Robert Merriweather? I know I'm having to offer all of these guys player-friendly deals, and we're running out of cap, but they will all re-sign. We'll have to deal with the cap space in the offseason. Moving on just a few weeks, the last check-in, we had lost back-to-back games. Well, now we have won 5 in a row heading into our bye week, so we are currently sitting at 10-3. As of right now, we are number 8 in offensive points per game. We are number 11 in defensive points per game. And we're currently sitting at the 2 seed. Houston is 10-2. We are 10-3. So right now the Texans hold the 1 seed. But that could very well change here as we wrap up this season. Unfortunately, following our bye week, our win streak would be snapped by Cincinnati 34-42. We would then beat Washington 17-15 and then come back and lose to Pittsburgh 28-14. But then we wrap up the regular season with a win in Baltimore 28-16 to finish this year with our best record so far at 12-5. Quarterback Del Massey ends up with 4,500 yards and 33 touchdowns. Both of those are career highs and only 8 interceptions. Running the ball, Marshawn Lloyd ran for 5 touchdowns. Del Massey got 9 of his own. And then Kendre Miller ran in for 8, so I'm going to assume he was our goal line back. Jerry Jeudy ends up with nearly 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Carlos Parker ends up with 1,176 yards and 11 touchdowns. Marcus Kramer comes away with 3 touchdowns, also over 1,000 yards. Our rookie tight end came away with 4 touchdowns, and Calvin Austin even came away with 2. and Cade Otton got 2 as well. Over on defense, JOK once again leading our team in tackles, and Myles Garrett with 26 sacks on the season, and rookie Chris Driver coming away with 13. All right, that is what I want to see. And interceptions, JOK came away with 4 to lead the team. It looks like during the season there may have been some injuries along the defensive line, so it looks like Harrison got bumped down to be a backup defensive tackle, which is fine. But mostly I want to come over here and see Driver, an 84 overall superstar Dev Trait rookie that got 13 sacks. Yeah, I'm really glad I took this kid. This is now the 3rd time in this franchise rebuild we have managed to make the playoffs, and once again we are in the same exact matchup bracket, except for this time we are the 2 seed and Pittsburgh is going to be the 7th seed. But I want to see where statistically we finished this season at. We were the 11th offensive points per game and the 14th ranked defense. We were also the 3rd passing offense, so I guess that's pretty cool to see. But let's see if we can't finally win our first playoff game in this rebuild. And we finally get to jump into a game today on a 2nd and 11. Steelers have 1 timeout remaining. We are up by 7. Hand off to the back, up the middle, and he's going to get all the way for the first down with 1:41 to go. And we get our very first playoff win. Following that run, I would go back into simulation and simulate a couple of plays, but they for some reason didn't run down as much clock as they could, and we ended up kicking a field goal. So that is why the final score is 27-17, but we do get to move on. Our next opponent is the New England Patriots, who also finished this year 12-5. Let's see, they are going to come in as the 3 seed. So the entire AFC side is the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds, while the NFC side is just the 1 seed as the only divisional winner left. Unfortunately, this time as we jump in, we are now down by 3, 47 seconds to go, and no timeouts. Massey will drop back to pass, run to the outside, throws on the run, he finds his man, that will be a first down. But I will warn you guys right now, the AI clock management is not that good. The clock continues to run as we throw this one away. Now just 20 seconds to play here in regulation. Out of a shotgun set, Massey will drop back to pass again, roll to the outside. He's going to load up and go deep downfield. Does he have a man into the end zone? That one is knocked away. With just 12 seconds remaining, on a 3rd and 10, Massey will drop back to pass again. Staying in the pocket, he's going to roll to the outside. And now he's going to take off upfield and needs to get rid of it, and we'll throw this one away. So we will have to hit a Hail Mary to win this game. Massey's going to come out in shotgun. Obviously, everybody will be going deep here. There will be no field goal unless there is a pass interference call. He's going deep. He may have a man, and that one will be knocked away, and the Patriots are headed to the AFC Championship game. In case y'all want to see something absolutely brutal about this game, we can head over here to the score summary, and you can see that at halftime we had a 28-14 lead before we allowed them to score 15 points in the 3rd quarter and set them up to come back and win this game. And this season's Super Bowl in this rebuild goes to the Houston Texans, who get their franchise's first Super Bowl win, led by CJ Stroud as they beat Caleb Williams and the Bears 31-25. Is that the 2nd time Caleb Williams has gotten to the Super Bowl and lost? Yes, it is, at least in this rebuild. And you can see on the right side of the screen, we actually end up winning the Defensive Player of the Year with Myles Garrett and the Defensive Rookie of the Year with Chris Driver. And unfortunately, we do have one new retirement this offseason. Laramie Tunsil has decided to retire. I was really hoping he would come back for at least one more season, but obviously that is not going to be the case. Before we get into this offseason, I do want to make a quick note here that 1, we are $4 million over the cap. That should be a lot of fun to deal with. But 2, this next season will be the final one of this franchise rebuild. If we win a Super Bowl, it's a success. If we don't, this rebuild is ultimately a failure. The very first thing we are doing, though, is going to be accepting the 5th-year option on quarterback Dell Massey. I am not ready to pay him just yet. And obviously, because we're not doing a season past this one, I don't have to worry about paying him. But that was going to be the only move we made in re-signing. But now I need to see if we can clear up some cap space so I can try to bring some players in here. And the only one I can really think of right now is Denzel Ward. We would save $11.6 million in cap space. He's an 85 overall, and he is really starting to regress. I mean, he has been regressing for several years, all the way down to an 85 overall now, and I really wonder if we can get anything decent for him. And I will gladly take this trade for him. Denzel Ward and our 1st round pick this year that was pick number 27 has gone to Tampa, and in exchange, we have the 9th overall pick in the draft. I don't know how many more trades I'm going to do, but I am going to be sending Mack Wilson Sr. over to Seattle in exchange for a 3rd round pick. And this one's going to be the final trade. Carter and a 2nd round pick at pick number 59 is going to Miami, and in exchange, we get pick number 36. We already own pick number 35, so we will have back-to-back picks at the start of the second round, or at least near the start of the second round. And I am only signing one free agent this year, and that is defensive back Darnell Greer. Because the main reason is we only had $14 million in cap space because I forgot trading for all those draft picks was going to take away cap space. I would still rather use those draft picks, but you know, we needed at least one more solid corner, so that's why I decided to bring in Darnell Greer. Moving on to the NFL draft with our 9th overall pick that we acquired in a trade, we're going to take right guard Randy Windham out of Oklahoma State with A awareness, and he's going to come in as number 36 in true value, but he does have a hidden depth trait. Our next pick is pick number 3 in the second round. Remember, we do have back-to-back picks here, and this one may be a risk, but I am going to take left tackle Daniel Graves out of Clemson, and I'm going to really hope he is not bad. 62 in true value, draft him at 35, but does have a hidden depth trait. And with the very next pick, we're going to take defensive tackle Philip Barrington out of Louisville, and he is going to come in as number 50 in true value and another hidden depth trait for us. And now, just because I've kind of addressed the other positions of need, we're going to take a free safety in Jaleel Sermon out of UNLV. Because we really need to find a new safety. Is this guy going to be it? Absolutely not. 200 in true value and a normal depth trait. Yeah, that was a waste of a pick. You know what? I would rather play it safe than draft someone in the 200 for true value. So with our next third round pick and the final pick I will make in this rebuild, center Clark Hartman out of Penn State. Welcome to Cleveland. 21 in true value with a hidden depth trait. All right, I would say we kind of made up for it. Everyone just ignore the 67 overall safety. Aside from that, we got a 74 overall guard, a 73 overall tackle, a 73 overall defensive tackle, a 74 overall center, a 71 overall running back, a 69 overall corner, a 69 overall receiver, a 69 overall corner, and a 63 overall quarterback. Now, who was the best player available in this draft, and did we pass on them? This was not a very strong draft. The highest rated player was Mac Jennings, who went one pick before us. Here is the final starting offense for my Cleveland Browns franchise rebuild. Del Massey is up to a 99 overall quarterback. I cannot believe Kramer or Parker never became a superstar depth trait, but it's whatever. Langford is still over here at tight end. We have a couple rookies starting along the offensive line, and we're going to really hope they can take us all the way to the Super Bowl. Defensively, we're really going to count on our corners and our 2 edge rushers to get the job done. JOK should also be a really good piece for us, but hopefully this season does not end in a complete and total failure, because it's always fun in these rebuilds whenever you do all of this and do one final season and then completely miss the playoffs. So here's hoping that doesn't happen to us. That is not what happened to this team. We actually started 2-2, but then we ripped off 7 straight victories before dropping back-to-back games going into our bye week, and then we come out, win 3 in a row, and lose the final regular season game against Detroit. But we are 12-5, so I'm pretty sure we're in the playoffs. And once again, Del Massey just had the best year of his career. 4,700 yards, 40 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions on the entire season. Marshawn Lloyd ran for 11 touchdowns. Massey only got 1 this year, and Kerry Jenkins got 2. And then receiving, Jerry Jeudy over 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns. Carlos Parker caught 5 touchdowns, Langford caught 10, and Kramer caught 7. Now over on defense, JOK led the team in tackles, Merriweather is right behind him. In sacks, Chris Driver led the team with 15.5, Myles Garrett got 15, and then interceptions, Greg Newsome came away with 6, and Darnell Greer came away with 4. And yeah, we made the playoffs, but we do not win the division. Who the hell took that? Baltimore goes 13-4, and doesn't even get the 1 seed because New England went 14-3. And we will get to jump into this one. We are tied up at 31 with 1:39 to go here in the game. On 3rd and inches, going deep downfield, we find a man, and he is gone. Touchdown Browns, and we are going to take a 7-point lead. It's now up to the defense. Anthony Richardson and the Colts offense will take the field with 1:34 to go. Out of a shotgun set, under pressure, and he is hit as he's throwing, so that one will fall incomplete. That brings up a 2nd and 10. They're going to have a bunch set at the bottom of your screen. He is the only one in the backfield. Richardson will look to pass again. Under pressure, hit as he's throwing to the outside, and that one is just knocked away. I really feel like that one could have been intercepted, but it leads to a 3rd and 10. Richardson back in shotgun again from the 30-yard line. He will take the snap and stand back in the pocket. He's going to fire this one deep downfield. That one's going to get knocked away and lead to a 4th and 10. And with only 2 timeouts remaining, they are going to go for it here. A minute 23 to play. Back in a shotgun set. Will we bring pressure? We just bring 4. It is going to bring pressure, though. He goes deep, and once again, it gets deflected away. That's a turnover on downs. But we cannot just knee this clock out. With a minute 18 to go, they do have 2 timeouts. We're going to come out and give this one to the running back, who goes to the outside. He'll get met and brought down. That 2-yard gain brings up a 2nd and 8. Now we're going to go back under center with a minute 14 remaining. And we're going back to the running back, who goes up the middle and will fight his way to about the 26-yard line. They burn that final timeout. Just run the ball. If they stop you, we'll kick a field goal. Do not throw this ball. But we are going to throw it. It's going to be a screen to the outside. It is caught, and we get the first down and more. It is forced out of bounds with a minute and 3 seconds to go. We are going to get out of here with a win. And despite the fact we are a 5 seed, the Raiders managed to upset Baltimore 51-45. That looked like it was one hell of a game. But either way, we now have a home playoff game against the 6-seeded Raiders. And it looks like we're going to get to jump in on this one too with 2:01 to go from the 4-yard line. It'll be a play fake and a quick throw to the end zone, and it gets intercepted. So the Raiders are going to stay alive in this game. I jumped in because I wanted to see if we could put the game away, and that's what I see. Awesome. Now the Raiders come out, and by the way, they are led by Josh Allen, who was in free agency last year. Apparently this is where he ended up. And on this throw, it's going to be a quick pass for a gain of a few yards. The Raiders do only have 1 timeout remaining with a minute 45 to go. He's going over the middle, and he finds his man for a first down all the way to the 36. Now Allen out of shotgun again will drop back. A quick throw to the outside is going to be caught for a gain of about 9 yards, and he gets out of bounds. And apparently that is Michael Pittman. So the Raiders have been signing a lot of big name free agents. On 2nd and 1, he'll drop back to pass. He's going to go deep downfield, and he finds his man for another first down. And the clock would stop because we had an injury, so we had to burn one of our timeouts. A minute 15 to go. Allen with a quick throw to the outside will be caught, and that's another first down for the Raiders. From the Browns' 27-yard line now. Allen back in shotgun again. Will drop back to pass. Going over the middle, he finds his man who will break that tackle, and he's going to fight his way all the way down to the 12. Now just a minute to go here in regulation. He sends a man in motion. Allen will take the snap. He's going to throw this one to the end zone, and that one should have been intercepted. It leads to a 2nd and 10 from the 12-yard line. Back in a shotgun set again, he'll look to pass. And he fires this one over the middle and finds his man. Touchdown, Vegas, and they are going to tie this game up. I don't even know why on our last possession we were trying to throw the ball. Just run it there in that situation. But now there's a chance this game's going to overtime. We take over at our own 32-yard line with 2 timeouts with 45 seconds to go. And Massey will look to pass. A quick throw will be caught for a gain of just a few yards. Now under 30 seconds to play. Massey will drop back to pass again. He's going to the outside. That'll be caught, and that is a first down, and we'll burn our first timeout. That got us all the way up to the 49-yard line. Massey's going to come out in shotgun again with 23 seconds to go. He will take the snap and looks to pass. He's going to fire over the middle, and that is going to fall incomplete, and I'm actually kind of glad that one fell incomplete because we would have had to burn our second time, or our final timeout, actually. So now on a 2nd and 10 with 19 seconds to go. Massey is the only one in the backfield. We'll drop back to pass. He's going to the outside. That'll be caught, and he gets out of bounds, stopping the clock. From the 39-yard line. Back in a shotgun set. Massey will look to pass. A quick throw over the middle, caught by the tight end. And can we just burn that timeout? All right, I didn't want to burn it at 11 seconds to go, but I guess that's what we're going to do. We will send out our kicker for a 50-yard try to attempt to send us to the AFC Championship game. The snap, the hold, the kick is away, and this one will be good. So the Raiders have 7 seconds to pull off some sort of miracle. The kick is going deep. They will field this in the landing zone. So he brings it up across the 20, the 25, where he is met and brought down. And with 3 seconds remaining, this will be the final play of the game. Josh Allen back in shotgun. We'll just have to heave it as far as he can. He drops back to pass, and he's going to let this one go deep down the sideline. And that one's going to be tipped down, and the Browns are headed to the AFC Championship game. And thanks to an upset in the other AFC divisional game, we will take on the AFC North in-state rival Cincinnati Bengals for a chance to go to the Super Bowl, while the NFC side is Arizona against Chicago. And wow, there is a lot of snow on the ground for this game, but we are currently down by 11 with under 2 minutes to go, so we're going to see if we can pull off some sort of miracle to get to the Super Bowl here. That first pass will be a 6-yard play. We need to go downfield a little bit quicker than that. We do have 1 timeout remaining. A quick throw to the outside will be caught for the first down. Now just about a minute and 10 seconds to play here in the game. Massey will drop back. A quick throw over the middle is going to be caught, and he's brought down for a gain of 5. They're going to let us do this all the way down the field. We have to force the ball downfield, guys. Massey will drop back, and he's going to go over the middle, and that's caught for the first down to the 49-yard line. But once again, the clock is going to keep running. 35 seconds to go here in the game. Massey lines up under center. He'll drop back to pass. A quick throw will be caught over the middle for a gain of about 7 yards. And now we burn our final timeout. So with just 31 seconds to go here in the game, will we just try to go downfield and hope for the best? Massey will drop back, and no, we're going to keep trying to throw over the middle, and that one is incomplete. 27 seconds to go in the game to pull off a complete and total miracle. Massey with a quick throw downfield is going to be caught by the running back all the way down to the 20-yard line, but we have to run the no-huddle offense. 8 seconds to go, and we are quickly running out of time. Massey will drop back. He's standing in the pocket. He's taking way too long and throws this one away, and that will pretty much just definitely secure that we are not moving on to the Super Bowl. We'll see where this final play goes in this franchise rebuild. Back in a shotgun set, Massey will look to pass. Rolling to the outside. This play doesn't matter, and he throws it to the end zone and overthrows everybody. And we will officially end this video with the Chicago Bears beating the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl 28-10, so Caleb Williams finally gets a Super Bowl win on try number 3. However, that does mean that this franchise rebuild ultimately ends in a failure, but sometimes you gotta look to see, did you kind of win anyway? Yes, we did not win a Super Bowl, but we got rid of Deshaun Watson and turned Zell Massey into a 97 overall superstar X-Factor quarterback, so I think the Browns are pretty well set for the future if whoever takes over after me, can actually manage this cap.